Very good afternoon. I think this should be a very interactive session. That's you could find the sitting arrangement little different. I thought instead of the moderator speaks from the podium, it's better to have an interaction with the panelist because all the experts. Friends, the subject what we have been given to us, the material and material sourcing, I believe that globally we are all thinking about what could be the alternative to the plastics material. In the morning, my keynote, I said that as of today, we don't find anything alternative to plastics. There is many advantages, but at the same time, there are certain development has happened on a biopolymer. That's a biopolymer which are mainly the bio-based material what we find. That could be one of the alternative, but at the same time, the problem is when it comes to the packaging application, the most important comes the barrier property, and there we find a limitation on the biopolymer. As a result, we back square to again on the fossil-based the polymeric material, but at the same time, many more development has happened. And still today in the globally we find all the material science scientist or an expert and the packaging professional globally, they've been working that how best we can make alternative to the fossil based polymeric material. So with this introduction, I have few panelists with me. On my right hand side, Mr. T.K. Bandopadhyay is a well-known, is an expert in the plastics, has spent more than 50 years, and I know him for the last 30 years. TK is, by academic qualification, he is an engineer and a technical director of Indian Center for Plastics and Environment, and he has been involved to the MLP, pyrolysis, and so many other products. My left-hand side, Mr. Ganesh Narayansamy, whom also very expert for the last 30 years, but he comes from another very specific product called Elco Beverages. Many people will be shy of to talk about the product because of comes under the prohibition. But you won't be knowing, or you might be knowing that this is one of the product, the Elco beverage. A lot of development has happened. Traditionally, we used to think that there is no alternative to the glass bottle. And another session, Sanjay was talking that glass is one of the material which is 100% reusable, and it comes back, and that is the more sustainable material unless you develop the material. But yes, if you want to have a virgin glass, that the temperature is too high, and that's why the energy consumption, the LCA temperature fails it. So, but Elco beverage has got a different kind of constraint because these are comes under the excise policy and so on. But I don't take on the policy matter different because the pharma industry, what was talking, mankind, Somo Mishra and all are talking, they also follow about the FDA regulation. These are all regulated markets. So every product has got a different market. If you talk about the food product, they say we are also under tremendous pressure from Food Safety and Standards Authority. So every products, FMCG product, you find they are really under the regulatory measures. But nevertheless, he has got an expertise on the subject for the last 30 years. He has been in the supply chain management he is talking. I also have Bhoibav Duggar. He is the founder of a food industry called Via Foods and creator of Humble Yeti. He has been last 12 plus years experience, and I'm really surprised to see that he is an engineering graduate from Pune University, but really worked on the electrical vehicle charging infrastructure. So that was really nice to see that how Boiva was working. Amol Shroff, he is the Vernica Foods, that's the two food industry having, but I think he's specialization on the tea packaging, and that's why he's working. I also got a Sagar Sarup. He is a packaging development from Unicam, so the pharma, so we got a food, pharma, and Elco beverage, and of course we got a person from the plastics and environment. So I have a couple of questions, and I would like to have one-on comments from all of you, and then I will go to the audience to see what the audience wants to say. The first questions to all of you, I may start with Amol Shroff. The first question is that the plastics material which are used for packaging, it could be either rigid or flexible. It could be in a different form. It goes to food, pharma, alcohol beverage, and so on. But according to you, what are the critical things when we look about the selection of material for my food products? What exactly we should look into that, the selection factor?
Uh,
Yeah, Mike, please.
There are a few factors which obviously we need to look at when we select substrates for flexible packaging in our kind of industry. So in our kind of industry, flexible packaging is usually used as an outer envelope for double chambered tea bags. Most of you must have seen tea bags like Twinings and Lipton and Typhoon. Or they are also used for packing loose tea leaves directly. We usually look at barrier properties. So barrier properties are very important because moisture, water vapor, oxygen, these can affect the quality of the raw material inside very adversely if it's not taken care of. Branding is very important. We export to the European Union market, so there obviously packaging design is very important to them. So the kind of printing effects that the substrate can take on is also very important. And I'm sure all of you will agree, availability of the material in the supply chain on a regular basis is extremely important. Cost is important. And moreover, with sustainability picking up, people also want to know that the material that you're choosing is also as sustainable, as recyclable as possible. So these are some of the factors that we have to think of before we select a substrate for a particular kind of a product.
But other than barrier, what do you say about what are the other factors we look into that? As you know that someone was talking, the packaging industry is dictated by the consumer. And we always say the consumers are the king or queen because they decide what kind of packaging structure should be in the market. So there are other than barrier, there are some other factor also one is to look into that when you really select a packaging material. So what's your comment?
Apart from the barrier, it's also depending on for a business owner, it also depends on what kind of profit margins I have to look at exploring the other packaging materials that I can fit into my brand. If it's a completely commodity, like say a dal or pulsar or cereals, I'll probably just go for a single layer packaging. But if it's something which has higher value, I'll probably look at a multi-layered because that'll give me a better presence on the shelf. And as it is, it's a cutthroat competition on the shelf. You're competing with so many other brands, and each brand is trying to shout out loud on the shelf. So we really need to be up there competing with those brands.
So you mean to say that one factor when you look into the barrier and you look at the eye appeal or the attraction, what you're looking. But when you talk on Elco Beverage, like Sanjay is here from Diageo and he's from John Distillery, what exactly you look into that? Because Elco Beverage is a special kind, but that's also a food product.
Yeah.
How do you select your material?
Hello.
Yeah.
So let me just quickly introduce who John Distilleries is. John Distilleries is the fourth largest alcohol player in the Indian market. In fact, after Diageo and Pernod. But what is unknown is that John Distilleries is now owned by the third largest alcohol player in the world called Sazerac. So for the past 7 years, we are now part of Sazerac. And earlier, Sazerac was a minority shareholder. Now they are flipped into a majority mode. But then the segment that I represent in Alcobev, especially the spirits, we are a segment onto ourselves because we come from the background of country liquor. So we have evolved from country liquor into an Indian-made foreign liquor segment. So one of the drivers for us to migrate to packaging different from bottle and which was pioneered again by Diageo during the formative years was one cost, especially the cost of recycled bottles getting so high. And secondly, counterfeiting, because bottle with its ROPP caps was easily prone to be replaceable. So we went into a pack where we could detect any counterfeiting.
So you mean to say, if I look at the selection criteria, one is my barrier, another the aesthetics, and you talk the cost aspect. But I understand in Elco Beverage today, especially in Karnataka, you have entered to a Tetra Pak, which is primarily paper-based, a composite structure. And that's not really single or mono layer. And that's a That's a multi-layer material.
Multi-layer packaging,
And
yes.
though there is a technology, people are shredding and making a compressed board, I mean the compression molding technology and make the board, but you can't really make it as a circular economy. That's one of your constraint of that material.
Well, our other option is PET. I mean, we are into PET.
We'll come more into that, but I'll ask to Sagar. You are from pharma industry, so what's the criteria you take when you really select a material for your products like cup syrup or capsules or tablets or so on? Yeah.
As already said by Mr. Saraf, barrier properties, how it reacts with light, moisture or oxygen, and its availability. So supply chain should be such that the material should be easily available. Any disruption in this would lead to delays in production.
Okay.
And then the durability, how durable is the material with respect
Good.
to...
So what I understand, to summarize the answer, we need selection criteria, could be a barrier, it could be a durability that's related to the shelf life, and it could be the aesthetics, and you also that the cost effective material. Yeah, there are many more, but these are the primarily we think to that. I'll ask another question to TK, because you have spent your entire life on the promoting or advocacy of the plastic for environment. You know, MLP, which is today globally it is the victim, because today all the problem is written in MLP, and people say that MLP cannot be recycled. But today really we have been recycling the MLP. Now I just want to know specifically from you, when you really do the recycle the MLP, what are the challenges we find, and how do you really compliance to the environmental regulation?
Hello. Okay, we say that all plastics are 100% recyclable. That is, or the energy can be recoverable. So from that point of view, the environmental point of view, that point is declared. But the more often it is desired that mechanical recycling is the desired option, because in a scale of recyclability, if we put 1.5, 1 and 0.5, the mechanical recycling adds most value to the product. Then the secondary recycling, tertiary recycling. But multi-layer laminates, multi-layer material, I am afraid that it is not popular to be mechanically recycled fully. But it is, again it is declared, it is 100% recyclable by chemical recycling process, feedstock recycling process. 100% recyclable. Form is different. But everything, all multi-layer MLP material can be chemically recycled. Challenges are, options are not too much. Options are being developed, options are not too much. That's why it is not finding to go to the place where it can be recycled properly, environment friendly.
So you mean to say that chemical recycling, it needs to be more and more promoted?
Yes.
Because that's in India is a very nascent stage, only very few people started chemical recycling. And most of the recycler, we have more than 3,000 recycler in the country, and they are all mostly on the mechanical recycling and all. So from recycling, I'll move on to the another question I'll ask a question to Mr. Vaibhav, that when you really design a packaging to a monolayer, what is actually the challenges you find to make a monolayer without compromising the functional properties?
Challenges are the same. I think we've discussed it. Just mainly the barrier, the air barrier, the durability of that plastic, whether in transportation will it break or not. Multi-layer has far more durability compared to a monolayer. It also depends on the kind of product that you're packing and how long it is meant to be on the shelf. As I mentioned, commodities normally move out of shelf within a few days or few weeks, but MLM can be there on the shelf for at least 9 to 12 months. So depending on the product that I'm packing or is being packed will completely determine whether I should go for an MLM or a monolayer. And most of the products that we see on the shelf, the high volume are all monolayers at the moment.
Amol, your product is very, very stringent in terms of the flavor, because the tea product, we need to have one of the critical factors. How do you, not only the barrier, you need an odor barrier. But do you think that when you design about monolayer, it can really supplement your requirement, because you need a shelf life?
Monolayer plastics, in fact, have recently been started, to be, they're being used in the tea industry. There are a few companies already doing it. So they are doing PCR PE, they are doing, PEPE monolayers. Now the challenges that we face, one is obviously there are not too many players doing it.
Okay.
So then it becomes like a bit of a monopoly.
Mm-hmm.
Cost is one of the issues there. Second is, if you try to expand your supply chain too much, authenticity.
Mm-hmm.
If you're trying to source the material from China, one of the things is how authentic is the material that is being given to you. If it is being declared as a monolayer, is it actually a monolayer material? That is another challenge that we tend to.
But your problem is in the monolayer, how do you ensure that barrier properties? The monolayer I can take from polyethylene is a good in moisture, but it's very poor in the oxygen barrier.
So for that, we will have to do what we call an accelerated shelf life analysis. See whether there is a degradation in the flavor profile of the tea, whether there is infestation in the herbs. So
Yeah, but polyethylene will not give the barrier. You need an odor barrier for tea packaging.
yes, so what I'm saying is the envelopes which are being used for the tea bags, currently triple laminates are being used in tropical climates, and which are known to have a good oxygen barrier, moisture water vapor barrier. Whereas in the colder climates where the the infestation is not as bad for herbs, polycoated paper and PE coating is being used. Now if monolayer is to be used for those kind of applications, before it is commercially used, it has to be tested to see whether it is maintaining the
Got it.
property
No,
of the.
that's of course, we need to test and all. Any comments from TK? You know, the monolayer has a lot of restriction, what we have, limitation I should say.
Monolayers are available, is known also, but commercial viability is being studied now. Say for PAN, polyacrylonitrile, is very excellent barrier property, monolayer.
Yeah.
But this is processability for the recycler also is a problem, because its temperature is 400 degrees centigrade, more than 400 degrees centigrade melting point. So recyclability is challenging, but it is monolayer can be challenged. But the problem I feel for India is flexible packaging
Yeah.
not being collected. Unless it is collected, so no question of segregating it and sending it to the recycler.
Yeah.
So for India, rigid packaging is not an issue, unlike developed country now that we do not have any issue with the rigid packaging, any kind of rigid packaging. We don't find any rigid packaging waste lying on the uncollected. Flexible packaging, whether it is monolayer or multi-layer, it is collection is the challenge.
Yeah, I fully agree with him, because when you talk about recycling mechanism, it has a 3 stages. One start with the collection, segregation and recycling. But the collection is very difficult. A country like India, we are fully depending on the collection mechanism or the rack pickers. And the rack pickers, the studies say even in Mumbai city, there are, you won't believe, there are 1.7 million rack pickers. There's a big clusters who make the collection of the material. Now the issue is, as he said, that the rigid packaging is not a problem, which is predominantly the PET bottles. And you won't find any PET bottle in the trash bin or anywhere, because the rack picker, they do collect it because they get a resale value. On the contrary, the flexible packaging, because the unit pack has got a lower density, lighter in weight, 1 kg they may get, now the price is increased to 30 rupees and all. Rahul is here, the UFlex is doing a lot of work on the laminate or the flexible packaging, but at the same time, the problem is the collection that still prevail, because the collection is a big issue even, which is fact in the country today. We find lot of recycler has come overall on the PET recycler. But when you talk about polyolefin based, which is polyethylene and polypropylene flexible packaging, very few, namely Lucru, Banyan Nation, Pashupati, few are here. We don't find many players are coming. The probably collection is the biggest issue, I know that. But coming back to the Ganesh, I know you have very limitation on the material choice. You have a glass, mostly 90% in the glass bottle, then you have switched to PET bottle, and you have a Tetra Pak to some extent in the Karnataka. I am told that there is a material like, if I take HDPE with a 5% EVOH, the EVAL, up to 5% EVAL and HDPE, if I make it, it is 100% recyclable, because EVAL will give me the oxygen barrier, the HDPE will give me the moisture barrier. Are you really thinking on that line, any alco industry?
Yes, sir. We are actually working with one of the, in a pilot project with one of the suppliers. So the answer is yes.
You are working.
We are interested, yes.
Very good. I'll ask the Sagar, any initiative from the farmer side about monolayer development with the eval based or a MDO, because MDO also give you more oxygen barrier.
It depends. I mean, from the point of view of regulations, it should be, I mean, easily acceptable by the regulated bodies in various countries.
Mm-hmm.
So it depends on the availability and acceptability of these materials.
Okay.
We can think upon.
I asked the question to Anmol. Amol, there is a, how really think that, because the monolayer, if anybody is doing a development, there's a lot of cost is involved. And today, talk about any, not only the brand owner and converter, they are working together. And they have been working that how best we can develop a monolayer. And many people are thinking about single layer or a single family material like a PEP, BOPP, CPP and all the structure they are doing. But that relates to a cost. So how do you think in the futuristic, the kind of cost you are putting a capex now, and how do you balance in the business when you talk about economics?
I think from a profitability point of view, the transition to this kind of a material can only be done gradually. So you spread the cost of transitioning over a period of time. You don't suddenly switch over. Second thing is, you need to try and develop a hub and spoke model, in the sense that when you switch over to these kind of materials, you must ensure that your supply chain is not going to increase the cost of transportation, because post-COVID, importing material has become extremely expensive. Also, when you design the material, it has to be designed in such a way that if there are any regulatory changes in the future, a sudden switch in the design of the material is going to be very expensive.
Okay.
So there has to be a lot of thought put at the design stage to ensure that it has a higher likelihood of complying with the changing regulations. So these are a couple of points which come to my mind in terms of offsetting the initial costs with benefits in the long term. Of course, it increases your brand value, because you can communicate the benefits of moving to a monolayer.
So you mean to say that cost what you have an X figure you are investing today, and you want to have a lot of cascading effect, but you want to say that over a period of 5 years or 10 years time, so ROI will not get immediately, so you think the ROI should come after the over a period of 5 to 10 years. Any comments from Vaibhav? Yeah, just.
So I feel even in terms of procurement, if that can be collaborated, for example, like say if Amol wants a certain kind of packaging, and even I want that certain kind of packaging, if the two of us and other people also come together, like say all of us come together, and we're able to source the same kind of packaging that we need, and it fulfills our requirement, then that kind of brings down the ROI, which is very rightfully said. So a lot of collaborative mechanism will need to be in place so that we can really speed up the entire process of using sustainable.
But who will bear the cost? You or the converter?
So we have to bear the cost and spread across.
So you being a brand owner, you mean to say first you have to take the initiative because EPR primarily it comes on you because you are a brand owner. So you have to take the initiative and then work with the very continuous work with the converter and see that the how cost can be taken back over a period of time. Yeah. What about Ganesh? You said that you are also doing a new product development. What about the cost you balance in your business?
So for us, cost is always a factor because coming from the country liquor, derivative of Alcobev, the primary product or the primary brand that puts the food on the table are our economy brands, which is currently in multi-layered packaging. The one that gives glory to our organization is the one that's packed in bottles. So, I mean, you mentioned about polyvinyl alcohol. I just want to refer to one project that we are currently doing on the premium side, where we are taking a bottle, a 750 ml bottle, that has a label, that has a cork. Because cork is a natural product. It's a natural cork. It's not a synthetic cork.
Correct.
And then generally for protection, we put a polylaminate capsule around the cork. We are now working with an alternative subject to, cost fitment of polylactic acid, which we are told is compostable. It may not be fully recyclable, but,
it's
it's
very
compostable.
expensive because
It's expensive. That's why I said subject to cost permitting, but that's for our premium brands. We can't do it with our economy brands.
Yeah, PLA could be one of the solution because in India there is a company called BCML, that Balrampur Chini mill in Calcutta. They are yet to start that plant, and if they start producing PLA, PLA becomes a little cheaper. But that's the futuristic project what we are thinking. TK, you see, I just want to ask you the same question to you because. Any research you want to do, there are a lot of cost. And especially the monolayer, everybody is thinking I have to do the development and all. And primarily responsibility lies with the EPR regulation because the brand owner has to think of it. What's your comment? Who has to bear the cost? It is a collaborative project with the vendor, with the supplier, or you feel that no, it's the primary response of the brand owner has to do it?
I am of the opinion, and government also has come out at the last stage, both the brand owner and the manufacturer of the material, both have to share the cost.
Okay, yeah.
In case of raw material manufacturer and the brand owner who brings it to the market, both have to share otherwise it will be not possible only to brand owner bearing the cost.
But
both has to share the cost.
I fully agree when he say
Government has
that.
come at the last stage because raw material manufacturers they have brought in at the last stage in the picture.
No, I fully agree because when you say the stakeholder, it starts with the raw material, then converter, and the brand owner. It's really not correct saying that everything else on the brand owner has to do it. But if you say in EPR, it says the producer's extended producer responsibility. It lies with the producer who makes the bottle or who makes the plastic container, and of course the brand owner it comes in. What do you say, because you are closely work with the raw material, where the raw material people they have a contribution in this entire project?
Yeah, that's why raw material manufacturer have to come, otherwise it will
cannot
not happen.
be. Yeah.
It will not, worldwide it will not happen.
So
There are 4 or 5, starting with only one company, I am not taking one, DuPont had come out the first. Then slowly, there are worldwide resin manufacturers are giving official commitment. Some of them are not fulfilling it fully, but it is coming. But raw material manufacturers have to come in because they have the knowledge, they have the source, and they have the direct. They cannot say that I do not have any interest or would not have on the process. But they also should come. Then only, at least raw material manufacturer and brand owner. Processors I think also have some responsibility, but processor, unless the processors are there, it will not come into the market. So the resin manufacturer, raw material manufacturer and the brand owner both have to contribute. Then it will happen worldwide.
I agree with you because the positive part, we have to say Indian scenario, what is happening, most of the recycler today, I can mention few of the name like Pashupati and others, they have been collaborating with the raw material people because they feel that if I take the post-consumer waste and clean it, wash it, granular, what I make it, until unless I can make it the quality wise as per the same standard of the the virgin material, it will not be acceptable to the converter. So that's a good sign, but the question here comes when you talk of the business economics. As you rightly said, the raw material manufacturer, recycler, and they have to come together, and of course, the recycled material go to the converter also to be acceptable, or they should also be at the cost. At the same time, it has to go to the brand owner. So it comes the cost to be divided, or it should not be cost alone. It's a collaborative approach. So the raw material converter, processor, everyone has to be a part of that. I'll ask a question to the Ganesh. Today, you are also an FMCG company, and we all talk about sustainable packaging. I really do not know the common man, how much they have an understanding about sustainability.
So that's an excellent question.
School education, people have been told, and the school children have been taught that plastic is bad. But what is next? The child of a 5th standard, he or she does not know what is next. So only they say that it is bad. But I believe there is a huge gap of the education. There are two kind of gap what I could presume. One is the school education to college education. That's a gap that people do not know sustainable packaging means what. Another gap is coming on the stakeholders. The raw material, I said, the collaborative approach. Today, the recycler, because I am very closely work with the recycler, they have a huge number of challenge. First of all, as TK said, that collection is a big problem. After the collection, the material what they get a different kind of material. And the processability, it becomes very critical for them in terms of fixing the parameter of the recycling parameter. Another problem comes to the brand owner. The brand owner is under tremendous pressure because one side they have to satisfy the consumer because they need to satisfy in terms of the shelf life. On the other hand, they have a big pressure from the regulatory bodies like FSSAI or BIS or EPR regulation. So I feel the education, the consumer education, is one of the critical part. What even the government of India, when you talk SDG, sustainability goal, nowhere it is talking on the education. Very predominantly the education is required. So I just need a comment from Ganesh, saying that as an FMCG company, what do you feel, how can really the FMCG company can contribute to the education to ensure that proper disposal of the material post-consumer?
Thank you very much, Dr. Saha. Excellent question. In fact, I'm very proud to announce in this forum that John Distilleries, in collaboration with one major producer of multi-layered packaging, that is aseptic packaging, is donating an entire recycled classroom, which consists of desks, benches, almirah, and other items, to Kendriya Vidyalaya Sangathan School in Bengaluru in January. I'm very, very proud to announce.
Yeah.
Being a liquor company, we have kept ourselves in the background because liquor is not one of the most prominently promoted.
Yeah.
So we are kept in the background, but my children both studied at Kendriya Vidyalaya. So we kind of felt it's our duty to give back to the institution. So we have done that, and along with that, that same manufacturer will be conducting a half-a-day program on what is sustainability and also educating the next generation kids on what are some of the promising careers in the field of sustainability. So we are very, very proud to do that, sir. So thank you for asking that question.
Good that some kind of initiative has been taken by the brand owner, and I think more and more we need a education campaign. And the campaign should not be talking only a particular material like plastics. I would say the campaign or education campaign should be more on sustainable packaging if you really want to save your planet for the next generation. I have a question to Vaibhav. You know the MLP, when you talk about MLP as a victim, MLP, if you ask me, all of my packaging professional who are my alumni of IIP, they have been in the design and development of MLP. It's not really by choice. It's all depends on the product characteristics. The some product needs a moisture barrier. They say the best part go a single layer material like polyethylene, and we do use for salt and sugar. But they find another product which is like a potato chips, which need oxygen barrier as well as gas barrier. So you need two different material, because the single material like polyethylene very good in moisture barrier but very poor in oxygen barrier. Polyester good in oxygen barrier, poor in a moisture barrier. But you really need to have a combine, and that's why you have got a two-layer structure. But when you talk about Amul's product in tea, you need an order barrier because that's a light sensitive, so you need a light barrier. So all this structure today, what we find like Tetra Pak material comes 6-layer structure. This is all not by a choice. It's all by the compulsion of the product characteristics today. But today we have come to a scenario that we have done huge R&D, and the consumers are very happy. We have been able to supply to the consumer, taking that the product has got a 1-year shelf life, 9-month shelf life, and so on. But my question to you as a brand owner, when you talk about food packaging, do you think that how do you optimize the shelf life, knowing the fact that there is a lot of limitation of monolayer? So do you have any comments on the shelf life issue of the consumer's demand?
So last 2-3 years, we've seen a huge change with the quick commerce coming in, right? So the same product, if the volumes are such, I can have two different kinds of packaging. One can go into quick commerce where I don't need to have necessarily more than 6 months of shelf life. I mean, the same product can be having 9 months of shelf life with MLM and on a retail store, say a Reliance or any other large-scale stores. But if I'm on quick commerce or on Amazon or D2C, where my offtake is probably every 1 week the products are moving out, I can have a regular MLM, regular single-layer packing, because there the consumer is not looking at the packaging. Just want the product. But on a shelf where we are battling with other brands, we really need to have the product speak out and shout out. And at that point of view, at that point of time, I need to have that good-looking packaging that is speaking 1,000 words to the consumer. Who just
That's aesthetics. I'm talking the life of the product.
Shelf life. So what we do as a brand owner is we do our a shelf life test with different packaging materials. So we do a real-time analysis of which pack is doing great for that product and whether it makes sense to have that packaging for this product. And if it does make sense to have this product for 6 months and it is going to do well with a single-layer packaging, then we go ahead. If we need more shelf life, then we go, and it requires a multi-layer, then we go for a multi-layer. So depending on the product is how we're depending on whether we should go for this product or this packaging. So a lot depends on that. Secondly, as a brand owner, it also depends on what kind of value I can create from that packaging. Whether I'll be able to ask my consumer to pay a slightly more to provide this kind of packaging. And if not, then I'll probably have to come down and choose a cheaper packaging compared to an MLM or a different kind of packaging.
Yeah, Sagar, on a medicine, pharma products, I know these are all regulated market, and in the earlier session they are taking is all doctors. Sumo was talking the doctor's advice and you have to do it. The shelf life is not much important for you, but you are having important the expiry date. So always the consumer will look the expiry date before he or she buys the product. My question to you, that the same question, that how do you really optimize the shelf life? Is there any possibility that I can optimize shelf life for pharma?
It can be only done by conducting stability studies with different types of packaging and checking whether the product is able to have its quality in different time period.
Now, I think my question, what I'm trying to say, I'll expect from Somo to talk on that. Question is on the FMCG product. We normally write 12 months, 9 months shelf life. But there are many brands which are very popular brand, product can be sold within 2 days. And if you take the logistics supply chain from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, no product or no consignment needs more than 2 months time. Why do you need 1 year life? Why do you need 6 months life? If you really bring down the life, that's I'm trying to say optimization. If you really bring down the shelf life, your problem, half the problem is over because many monolayer can really resolve your problem. Now question comes that can consumer will accept it? To my personal feeling, consumer, they don't know anything. Whatever the brand owner gives it, if they write that it is a 6-month shelf life, they are very clear. They will bring you home and they will just transfer the product to another rigid packaging. So that's what I'm trying to say, how do you optimize the shelf life without compromising the functional properties? I think my question is clear. Amol, you want to say something? Then I'll ask to the audience because they have under different pressure. Yeah.
I think when it comes to optimizing shelf life, this is driven more by the commercial concerns of the people selling the brand.
Yeah.
We call it fast-moving consumer goods, but they don't really move fast. Some of the products, they take years.
What do you say that if you optimize it, do you have any kind of revert back on a from the consumer side?
See, the only way genuinely that the shelf life of a product like ours can be extended, what comes to my mind is either using a thicker micron film or not, or making sure that the envelope is not transparent, it is solid color printed to ensure that it is not affected by light. These are the only ways in which we can ensure that there is some input from our side to extend the life of the product. Now, from a consumer's point of view, if a product is going into a supermarket, it will fly off the shelves within 2 to 3 months. If the product is going into a gift segment or into a hotel, restaurant, catering segment, it might sit there for 2.5 years also. This is what we've seen. So optimization really depends on the segment to which you're selling.
Okay, a very good answer. They mean to say unilaterally we cannot decide that all the product can be so much optimization. I fully agree with that, but I have a thought process that many people, they say unnecessary I am trying to have a longer shelf life. That's my personal feeling. Because today, you know, automation and supply chain, everything has been improved and we really don't need this so much 12-month shelf life and 9-month shelf life for the declaration, what I am thinking and all. I have, before I go to the audience, I have a last question to TK. FSSI, you know that they have recently notified that PCR can be used for PET material. The reason is PET is well established and collection, as you rightly said, very established and we can do it. And they are not really touching upon that subject which is polyolefin or polyethylene and polypropylene, especially on the flexible material. Maybe collection is one of the issues. There are many other issues that's why FSSI is not talking and all. What's your view on that? Why really regulatory body is not giving clearance to polyolefin?
Recently, FSSI have started that exercise, asking the opinion of experts or on the guideline of using the PE and PP material, recycled material. But okay, before that, I would like to bring to this audience, as on date, according to my perception, no regulation has come out independently that I may sound little different, use of recycled PET in food product application. It has not come on legal basis. I have the 2021 notification in my hand. It says something that FSSI approval, and FSSI has says that it depends upon BIS standard. And BIS, I know, BIS has not yet come out with this standard. So use of recycled material in food product I personally has got some difference, and according to, in my organization has got also some difference. It should not come in contact with food product material. Why? In the pharmaceuticals world over, all the pharmacopoeia companies, they do not allow using any recycled material in the pharmacology packaging.
Yeah, but Coca-Cola is claiming 100% recycled PET.
It is that India has allowed.
Yeah.
But if you read the language, it is not a full-fledged notification. It is dependent on that. As I said, I don't want.
I know that. I know that.
It is said it is FSSI should approve it, and in FSSI when it is approached, they said it should be approved by the BIS.
I know that. So
BIS
primarily,
has not yet come out.
no, primarily what FSS is trying to say that if the PET, recycle PET, which is a post-consumer material or PET, should be used with the virgin PET, it has to clear the BIS two important tests, the global migration and specific migration. So these are the two which takes care of BIS as well as the FSSI. Yes. My question is different to you. This is clear in case of PET, but why not we think about the polyolefin, which is the most
I'm coming that.
higher consumption in case of food
I'm
packaging.
coming to that. PET, see, this particular PET bottle can be recycled and can be used in contact with food material. That is no problem. But when the question comes, what is the source of this waste? If the source of the waste is not properly 100%, it is not known, we are taking an unnecessary risk. If the source of the waste is known, can be identified and verified, and ultimately, as Professor Saab said, if the specific migration test is conducted, each lot to lot or sufficient basis, then it is then no problem. But specific migration in Indian condition for each lot, it costs about 5 lakh rupees. And if it is PET bottle is relatively little, source is little identifiable, it is not that dirty waste stream it goes.
But
if you go to PE and PP,
polyolefin, very difficult.
polyolefin, can you control that? This vast area, volume is so high, and the recyclers also so high, and it is not next to impossible to know the source of the.
No, but now TK, there are company who has come with the sorting machine. Like in India, Ishitowa has come on a sensor based. You can segregate so that you know the resource is good. But your point is correct. Even the source material, the feedstock, we need to clarify about FSSI, what say that BIS method. But I think there is another gray area. All the audience you would be understanding. Till date.
I will supplement it.
Yeah.
See, at least in Indian condition, PET material has got enough demand for the non-food application.
Yeah.
In the COVID area, just after COVID area, Government of India, despite of the not regulating, not giving license, they had given substantial approval for import of the PET waste for supplying to the fabric, the non-food application.
Yeah.
So there is, market is there for non-food application. Why to venture in the food application?
Yeah.
So now we have not gone into pharmaceutical application because there is a danger.
Yeah.
There is
I fully agree. And one more point for the audience, I want to say that even there are certain gray area. TK is in the BIS committee, I am in the BIS, so we know that what kind of problem we are facing. So far, there is no test method to declare the percentage of recycled content. There is no test method. It's all by self-certification that it is a 10%, 20%, 30%, even in rigid as well as flexible, and which you are working in BIS, how to really have a national standard. Interestingly, even ISO standard, they have not there. So these are certain gray area, and the challenge for all the packaging professional, really how to get a proper test method before we give a declaration. based on a test evidence, which we don't have. And that's why I think there is he also touched upon another point to my personal feeling, because I had a discussion with FSSI, because I'm associated in some of the committee of FSSI. When I'm discussing with the advisor, madam said that country is so big and 70% of products goes to food and beverages. Almost 50, don't 50, more on the flexible. 60-40 ratio, 60% go to flexible, 40 in the rigid. And if you really want to talk about BIS, global and specific migration, you need so many laboratories on the NABL accredited laboratory. We have a very few laboratories across the country. So that shows there is a lack of infrastructure. And maybe government need to intervene and to not to depend on only to the private player. And otherwise, as he rightly said, he's scared about to touch upon the food. I fully agree, because you are talking about more on pharma, you cannot do it. Now why food you are touching into that. But you know, FSSI also not given a clear-cut blanket approval to PET. As he rightly said, they have given with a rider that it has to clear the BIS. But I think more importantly today, the need of the hour to find out a test method about the percentage of recycled content is being used in the virgin material. Otherwise, it will be very difficult. We are all going by self-declaration and trust on all. That's not the correct method. Anyway, with this, I'll ask some few questions from the audience. But before I ask, I'll ask from Sommo what I say that you are a brand owner. Is it possible that, keeping in mind the constraint of the mono material, instead of giving 12-month shelf life, I simply say it is a 6-month shelf life, knowing the fact your logistic is 2 months and it is okay? Do you think that there will be some kind of, rewards will come from the consumer? Yeah, give the question.
This is a wonderful thought process, really appreciable. So it really required to understand and differentiate the product which is readily sell and which is required maybe the 2 years of shelf life. But the challenge is that the same product, we cannot make the 2 packaging on that.
Okay.
It's a soft floor challenge on that. So the cost wise, everything will be challenging on that. Suppose one product, it is going to the Chennai, from Delhi to Chennai, and some product it's near about the NCR region. To NCR region, maybe it will be sale within 1 month, maybe
No, but if you optimize your supply chain management, the distribution network.
No, it's possible. It's possible. It's not possible. But we need to work on that, the shelf-life study and the proper packaging, optimization of the packaging. It's really challenging job for us, because the monolayer has a problem with the whole barrier of this thing. This is so far challenging on that, because no monolayer is given the 100% barrier on that. Even we are, today's scenario, the polymer is so advanced, we cannot replacing the aluminum foil. Still, aluminum foil is a huge requirement in the packaging material. So once upon a time, I was thinking, I have tested many times for my product to replacing the aluminum foil. I cannot replace.
Yeah.
Aluminum has their own property, own gorgeous, because you cannot replace.
Yeah, aluminium pharma industry depend on, because it's a more important, it is a dead fold characteristic. So you can dead fold, you can use on the strip packaging and so on. Thank you, Sommo. Now I'll ask some questions from audience. Yeah, 2 hands.
One more question.
Aditi, I have 5 minutes. I have the watch here. I know that.
One more question to you. What about biodegradable plastic? Anybody can work out on that, because we are talking about the recycled packaging material, sustainable packaging material. Are anybody working on the directly biodegradable polymers?
No. I'll ask the TK. I think biodegradable material, I don't want to open that chapter of Pandora box, because many people are here. I do talk in many forums, even I teach to IIM students also, many people, they ask me this question. See, today there are few terminology people are confused. One is biodegradable, another is oxy-biodegradable, another is called compostable, and lot of definition is given, even BIS, UN certificate and so on. I don't go on a debate on the definition or the source and all. Idea is the bio-based material which is coming from the natural resources like plant, animal, which you say the biopolymer. I being a packaging professional, my concern is, can it give me the barrier? The answer is no. If it is not giving me barrier, why should I talk and waste my time? Today, all this material, what is going only as a garbage bag. And that's fine, that you can do it. So biomaterial, or we say the nanoparticles, until unless we increase the diffusion process, you improve upon the characteristics of the functional properties, this material cannot come on the streamline on the packaging material. That's the biggest challenge what we have. Yes, across I just read one of the research article in California University, they have done it. They have come out with a nanomaterial improved upon the oxygen barrier, but they are trying to have a coating over the polyethylene. That's a good research, but again come that material, the coating material and polyethylene material, whether that can be recyclable or not. They are again a fossil waste material. So that's all kind of challenges we have. But I believe the environment has come to the country today, all the packaging fraternity, everybody is trying to find out some kind of solution, they are trying to do it. Like my gentleman Ganesh is sitting, you are showing me a paper bottle, inside there's an aluminium. Incidentally, I am also the chairman at a national level on natural packaging by the Ministry of Commerce. When I asked to chair that committee, I went to Guwahati to see a bamboo packaging to promote. And someone has given me a bamboo flask. I open it, inside there is a steel bottle. So that shows that this natural packaging cannot come in food contact application. It can come very good on the secondary packaging, not on the primary packaging. These are few challenges we have that we have to really sort it out. Yeah, any question you have? Yeah. Just loud, yeah.
Hi.
A specific question, because 2 minutes I have, yeah.
Nay here from Country Delight. So I had one question about the monolayer packaging. Any particular food category, let's say fruits, vegetables or staples, where it has shown promising results? And in terms of finances, how expensive it is or how equivalent it is to the regular MLP?
So your question is monomaterial, what category of food? Okay, what do you ask a second question?
In terms of finances, how expensive it is or how equivalent to the regular MLP?
You want to take Amol or TK? See, the monomaterial, to my mind, it's already established market. It again, I told you that depending on the product characteristics. If you talk about salt, hygroscopic material, monomaterial, polyethylene is the best packaging material. You got sugar, best material. You talk all the pulses, monomaterial. Absolutely not a problem. Our whole problem comes, the product gets processed. The moment I make from potato, I make a chips, which is fried in oil and just to make your taste in the, in your tongue, and that creates the big challenge for the packaging designer. He doesn't know how to satisfy that. But if I want to sell the product within 24 hours, I have no problem. I can just put in polyethylene bag and send it. But I don't want, because I want to have a bigger business, 7 days life, and then I want to send from Bombay to Delhi. I need 15 days, 1 month, export, 3 months, 6 months. That becomes a biggest challenge. Today, monomaterial is already established market. Today, people are all struggling. How best I can improve upon the monomaterial with all the functional properties. If I have WBTR, I need an OTR value, I need an odor barrier, and so that I can use for processed food. That's the challenge. Otherwise, monomaterial is established market. That's not a problem. Yeah, you have a question. Yeah. Give a mic to her. First row. Yeah. That's the last question, and then we can have an off the line. Yeah.
So this is not a question. It was, you had spoken about the shelf life and changing the packaging material. So I'm from Dates and Dry Fruit Company. We are trying one of the packaging where dates are filled in a craft box container with 2 layers of shrink wrap. Now, one of our client has a requirement of 15 to 20 days shelf life of the same product, which is actually 4 months. So we are removing this 2 layers of shrink wrap and introducing in his market, in his shelf, and giving a try with that, where the shelf life of both the products, similar products with different packaging, is different.
It's different.
It's different.
What is the material? Shrink film, what is the material? Polyethylene?
Yeah, it is that 12-layer shrink film.
Yeah, but shrink film is a form. But what is the barrier? I mean, what is the material, resin. What is the resin?
Polyethylene.
Polyethylene. So you mean to say that different product, different shelf life? Yeah, it
Same
depends
product, different shelf life.
yeah, it could be depends on the grade of the polymer.
Yeah.
Because you see a lot of raw material here. If you take a Reliance, if you take Sabik, if you take different material, they're a different grade. The same material, same polyethylene, you got a different barrier properties. That's possible. So what I say in a nutshell, whatever, especially when you, TK is very much focused about food. I fully agree with him. Food is such a product because it directly consumes the human being. Food and pharma, both are very critical. When you touch upon these two products, you have a many challenges. You have a challenge about the design. You have a challenge to satisfy consumer. You have a challenge how to satisfy the regulatory bodies. And the third thing has come, regulatory bodies telling they are trying to promote the recycling. As TK say, you have to really be careful to touch upon that subject until unless your infrastructure is ready. Until unless you know that whatever product I'm giving to the market, it is a fully safe to the consumer. Otherwise there will be boomerang, it will come back to you. That's the big challenge we have. But I think the environment has come today. Whether it is a packaging professional, the material science, the scientist, the businessman, consumer, everybody is concerned only one thing, please save your planet. Now, how do you save the planet? I think the biggest challenge for the packaging professional. And they're all the time on working. We have to keep on working, but the time would come, we'll come to a conclusion and we'll find an alternative to fossil-based polymer. That's the biggest challenge for all of us. Thank you so much. Thanks for your participation and give a big hand to the panelists. Yeah.